Hotep, this is Kwame Kenyatta. Welcome to another video from my YouTube channel, Empower the Vision. This video is about driving while black. It's about surviving while driving while black. We all know what the climate is in the country at this particular point in time, with the recent death of black men and the recent shooting of police officers in Dallas. Everyone's nerves are on edge and at a state of alertness. As black men, fathers and sons, and black women and daughters, we're always at a state of alertness whenever stopped by the police. Much of what I will talk about, you probably have already seen and already heard and have already been talked to by your mothers and your wives and your brothers and your sisters and particularly as black women as well. This is not just for black men, but definitely targeting and centered on black men, but can be used, and because black women are being shot and killed as well. When you are going to be out, particularly at night, driving alone and coming home and don't have anyone with you, then what I am suggesting, first of all, that you try to travel at night with someone. Of course, you may be coming from work or from a friend's house and you don't have anyone. So that's understandable as well. But what you want to do, you have a phone. You're not going to be able to film the altercation all the time, particularly if you're by yourself. That agitates police officer if you got a camera in their face. But what you may want to do is program a speed dial, a friend or family member, and so you have your phone down on your console or on your seat or whatever the case, so that if need be, when you see that flashing light in your rearview mirror, then you may want to hit. You all are experts at texting and driving and all of that, which you shouldn't. But if you have to hit that speed dial, you hit that speed dial and you say, hey, look, I need you to hang on the phone. I'm being stopped by the police and I'm going to keep my line open. That's first thing. So when you see that light in your rearview mirror, you are driving, you see that light on in your rearview mirror. If you're in an unpopulated area, dark area, then you may want to continue to move forward at a reduced speed until you get safe. They understand that. They know that folks are on edge and are afraid. And so first thing I'm going to suggest you do, so the officer know that you have seen him or her and that you are getting ready to comply, what I'm going to suggest is that you turn on your emergency flashes. You hit that emergency flasher, not only signaling to him or her that you got it, you know that you're being pulled over, but also anyone else who see you and see the officer behind you know that you're being pulled over and may want to stop and observe this particular contact with the police officer. So now you got your lights on, you got your phone phone call open. Now, if you're not able to make that call before the officer comes to the car, then what I would suggest is that just casually make that call when the officer goes back to his car. Don't make any certain erratic moves, but just simply get that phone line open so that you have someone on the phone. I'm also going to suggest, if you're driving at night, they can't see, you can't see, what I'm going to suggest you do is prepare your identification ahead of time. The first thing they're going to ask you is for your identification. So you don't need to reach into your glove compartment, which is mostly where you keep your registration, or in your console. I'm going to suggest that you don't do that. You don't want any certain moves to the left or to the right. So what I'm going to ask is that you have your license and your your you have your license and your insurance card already ready out, and have your wallet open and laying on the seat. That's one thing, because oftentimes as men, we don't have our wallet in our pocket because it's too bulky to sit on, so you may have it in the console. I've seen a situation like that where the guy have the wallet in his console, and he said, well, let me get it. And that's a certain move. They get edgy and said, stop. One situation where there was a shooting, the young man was outside the car. He asked for his wallet. The guy went back into the car to get his wallet because it was in the car. The officer shot him for going back into the car. So have your wallet out if you're driving at night, and even in the daytime. These are alarming times. So you're doing some things that you may not have done before. It doesn't make you less of a man or a woman. It doesn't make you a punk or a coward to be prepared to deal with these altercations, particularly when you may have a road cop or a soldier cop, a skinhead cop. And I'm not talking about officers who do their job and do their job correctly. I'm talking about others who needs an excuse to shoot on site and ask questions later. That has been the case. It's not always the case, but it has been the case. So we want to be prepared as much as possible. The other thing, instead of reaching into your glove compartment for your registration, I'm going to suggest that you keep it here above your sun visor. So it's already out. You let your window down. You hand all of this to the officer. You may even, until you get home, you may even want to have your license and your insurance already in here and prepared. The other thing you can do is have it right here on your dashboard on the left side. So you got your one hand on the wheel, you reaching, and you give it to the officer this way. So when that officer stops you and you come to a stop, you got your car in park, I suggest that you keep your emergency lights on, hands on the wheel. Hands on the wheel. You've already let your window down. Your hands are on the wheel. Good evening, officer. Good day, officer. Good afternoon, officer, or whatever. He or she should ask you for your identification. Regardless of why they stop you, they're going to ask you for your identification. I would suggest at this time, don't even get into why they stop you. It's going to be on your ticket if they're going to write you a ticket, or they're going to tell you. They're authorized, they're obligated to tell you, did you know that one of your lights are out? Yes, I know. I intended to get that fixed. I intend to get that fixed. I just haven't had a chance. I'm coming from work or wherever, school or whatever the case may be. Don't argue that fact then and there. You can do that later in court. You can contest the ticket later. The objective is to get home alive, or to get wherever you're going alive. You don't have to dispute this. We're past that at this point. People are dying. People are getting beat. People are getting locked up in jail and getting killed. So we don't want that to continue to happen. So on our end, as men and women, particularly in the black community, we want to make sure that we are prepared ahead of time, that we teach our sons and daughters to be prepared ahead of time. If you know you got tickets, then be prepared. There's no need of disputing them. Yes, I know. I've been meaning to pay them. I will pay them. So if you're going to be under arrest, then you're under arrest. There's no need of trying to resolve that issue then and there. You got your phone line open. Somebody knows that you're getting ready to be arrested. Try to find out where you're going. Officer, what precinct are you from? Get the badge number when he comes up to the car, if possible, so that you can provide all of that information to that individual who's on your live line, so they know where you're going. If you have a weapon, in the car. You have a CCW. You have a permit to carry. So you have a firearms permit, like I do. Try to make sure that your weapon is on, if it's on the seat, if you're traveling with it at night, have it on your seat. It's not going to do you any good in the trunk or in the glove compartment anyway if you got it for protection. And if you're in the South, like Mississippi or something, you have open carry. You got your house is like your domicile, so you can legally have your gun on your seat in plain view. You say to the officer, I have a permit. I have a permit to carry. I do have my weapon. But that weapon is over here. You're getting your gun. He or she, if they see it out, they may ask that you put it away. In some cases, they may ask that you surrender that weapon to them. You know, you're legal. You do what you feel you need to do. I can't tell a man or woman to surrender their weapon, but if the officer asks for it, then what you do, and I've done, either you can take your left hand, you hand the weapon to the officer by the hand. So therefore, that officer is not feeling threatened because you're handing the weapon to them like this. No, you hand the weapon, anytime you hand a weapon to an individual, you hand it to them. Hopefully, you're in a situation where you have a law-abiding officer, and that officer is not going to take your weapon and shoot you with it, or whatever the case. I mean, you know, this is the times that we're living in. But what we're doing now is trying to minimize any hostility and altercation from our brothers and sisters to anyone within law enforcement, because we know now even the good police officers are on edge and afraid of losing their lives. Their objective is to get home, just as it is your objective to get home. So again, let's review. Before you get on your journey, if you don't have anyone with you, try to be prepared. You have your information already out. You either have it in your window like this, or you can keep it in your sun visor like this, so that you're not reaching down, you're not going in anything, or going into your glove compartment. You simply, with one hand on the wheel, you're reaching up, you're giving it to the officer like that. And so that way, there are no excuses in terms of mistaking what you're trying to do. The other thing that I suggested is that when you see the light, you reduce your speed, you put on your emergency signals, you try to make sure that you're stopping in a populated area. You may want to pull into a gas station, pull into a convenience place, or at least pull into under a light or something of that nature. If you're on the expressway, it may be very difficult. If you're already at an exit, you may want to go off that exit. That officer is going to follow you. For the most part, they understand at night people are trying to get to a secure location. Particularly if you are a woman, you are by yourself, you have your children, get to a secure location. By putting on your signal light, that officer know that you have seen, that you are complying, your emergencies are on, you're proceeding to a position of safety for him as well as yourself, or her as well as yourself. Your weapon is out. Some people may say, well, if your weapon out, then they're going to get alarmed. But the first thing that you do is you inform them that I am a licensed carrier. Now, if you're in the South, you don't have to be a licensed carrier to have a gun in your car. It must be in plain sight. So if that gun is in plain sight, if you're in some of the cities like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and places like that, that gun is in plain sight. You inform the officer that obeying with the the state law, you do have a weapon in your vehicle, and it is in plain sight. You give them your information, and hopefully, you can de-escalate. The other thing that I should have said at the beginning, when you see that light, most of us, our hearts skip a beat. You see that light, you want to de-escalate yourself. Take a breath. Take a breath. You want to calm yourself down, because you got to calm this officer down, because their heart skipped a beat too. Anytime they get out of their cruiser now, they don't know what they're going to find in the car. Now, my brothers and sisters, if you know you an outlaw, you know you running from the law, you know you got drugs in your car, you know you just stuck up a bank, you just robbed somebody, you on your own. I have no advice for you. I have no advice for you. You do what you know you got to do. I am talking to law-abiding brothers and sisters, students, folks who are coming from their job, young folks, young men who are coming from their jobs, coming from school, trying to get home, coming from a party. You went to the party and you had some drinks. Then you need to have somebody, in this day and age, you need to have somebody to drive you home. Because you don't need to drink and drive. Not because you're going to get stopped by the police, because you may hurt somebody. You may hurt yourself. You may kill somebody. You may kill yourself. So I'm just saying we need to make better choices. We need to make better choices. And again, this is not to make you acquiesce to police brutality. This is not to make you a punk or make you a coward. This is not about this. This is to make you safe. This is to get you home to your mother, to get you home to your brother, to get you home to your sister, to get you home to your wife, to get you home to your loved ones, or just to get you home. If you're going home by yourself, you want to get home. Make sure that this is what this is about. And I hope that it has been helpful. I know that you've heard some of this before, but again, keep your hands in plain view. Make sure that your information is close to you and close to the officer, so that you don't have to go this way, you don't have to go that way, you don't have to look in here. I cannot overemphasize that. That seemed to be what is being used to shoot people. He went for a gun. I couldn't see where they were going. At the same time, they've been asked for. The other thing, I almost forgot. You may want to get one of these cameras. I don't want to call a name because I'm not trying to promote anybody's product, but they have cameras that you can put in your car, that when you see that light go on, you hit that button, and that camera will record everything that is going on in the car, and you can turn it to where it sees the officer and you, and it will record what is going on. That way, it's hands-free. You don't have to record that. Again, I hope that this is helpful. Any lives that we can save will be good and positive in our community. I'm not going to address this whole violence thing in this video, because I've addressed it before in terms of black-on-black crime, stopping the violence, Black Lives Not Mattering in America, and how we must address our own community and address the violence in our own community first and foremost. If my house, if my yard looks like a dump site, then people who do dumping, illegal dumping, they're going to stop and throw stuff in my yard because they think it's a dump site. So I got to clean up my yard. I got to clean up my house, and you got to clean up your house, and we got to clean up our community. So we got to stop the violence all over this country. We got to stop it. And when we stop the violence internally, we demand an end to the violence externally. Again, my name is Kwame Kenyatta. This is my YouTube channel, Empower the Vision Hotel. Peace.